A single mom signed a simple message to help a struggling boy order noodles. What she didn't know, he was a mafia boss's mute son, and that one act of kindness would pull her into a dangerous world where being kind to the wrong child meant becoming a target. Now the only man who could protect her daughter was the same one whose world she'd been desperate to avoid. The noodle stall on Market Street smelled like heaven, garlic, ginger, and that perfect hint of sesame oil that made Nico's stomach growl. He'd been thinking about Mr. Chen's chicken noodles all morning, ever since Marcus told him they'd stop by after his doctor's appointment. Nico pressed his palms against the metal counter, standing on his tiptoes to watch Mr. Chen work his magic over 3 different pots. Steam rose in thick clouds. The lunch crowd pressed in from all sides, construction workers shouting orders, office ladies checking their phones, a delivery guy honking his scooter horn like the world was ending. 10 years old, and Nico had learned that noise was the enemy. He pulled out the laminated card from his jacket pocket, the one with pictures his tutor had helped to make. A bowl of noodles, a chicken leg, a thumbs up. Simple, clear, foolproof. Except Mr. Chen wasn't looking. Next, the cook barked, his spatula clanging against the wok. Nico waved the card, but Mr. Chen's eyes were already on the businessman behind him, shouting something about extra vegetables and no MSG. Nico's chest tightened. He tried again, this time tapping the counter with a card, making the chicken picture face Mr. Chen directly. The cook glanced down for half a second. Beef noodles spicy. Got it, kid.
No. No, no, no.
Nico shook his head frantically, jabbing his finger at the chicken on his card. His mouth opened, that useless automatic response his body did when he was stressed, but nothing came out. It never did. Hadn't since the day he was born. Mr. Chen was already dumping thick rice noodles into a bowl, ladling bright red chili oil over the top. The kind that made Nico's throat close up just from the smell. The kind that sent him to the emergency room when he was 6 because Marcus thought he'd grow out of being picky. Marcus. Where was Marcus? Nico spun around, searching for his minder's gray suit and permanent scowl. He'd been right there 3 minutes ago, leaning against the lamppost, talking on his phone.
Now, gone.
Swallowed by the crowd of people who moved through Market Street like a river Nico couldn't navigate. His heartbeat hammered in his ears. The card trembled in his hand. Here you go, kid. $8. The bowl appeared in front of him. Bright red, absolutely wrong, completely inedible. Beef chunks floating in oil, so spicy it looked radioactive. Nico stared at it, feeling that familiar burning behind his eyes. Not here. Not in front of all these people. He dug into his pocket for the $20 bill Marcus had given him, but his fingers were shaking too much to get it out. Someone behind him groaned loudly. Another person muttered something about holding up the line. $8, kid. Come on. Nico's vision blurred. He blinked hard, hating himself for being weak, for being broken, for not being able to do something as simple as order lunch. Excuse me, a woman's voice, calm and clear, cut through the noise. I think there's been a mix-up. Nico felt someone step beside him. Not crowding, just close enough to be present. He looked up. She was younger than his teachers, older than his tutors, with dark hair pulled into a messy ponytail and kind eyes that weren't looking at him with pity or impatience. Just seeing him. The woman held up one hand toward Mr. Chen, then with her other hand, she signed, "Chicken, not beef. Mild, please." Her hands moved like water, smooth, confident, natural. Nico's breath caught. She knew. She understood. Oh. Mr. Chen squinted at Nico's card, really looking this time.
Sorry. Chicken, yes.
Too busy, too loud.
Give me 1 minute.
The woman glanced down at Nico and signed again, slower this time. Better? Nico nodded, so hard his neck hurt. He signed back, messy but earnest. Thank you. Thank you so much. She smiled. Not the thin, polite smile adults gave him out of obligation, but a real one that reached her eyes. She signed, "You're welcome."
I'm Melise.
Nico, he signed back, finally remembering his manners. Here. Chicken noodles, no spice. Extra chicken for the trouble. Mr. Chen pushed a new bowl forward. This one golden and perfect and exactly right. Nico pulled out his 20, but Elise was already handing Mr. Chen her own money. I've got his. And one vegetable noodle to go, please. No, I can pay, Nico signed quickly, but she just shook her head. Consider it a welcome to the neighborhood, she said aloud, though her hands also moved as she spoke, code switching so naturally it made Nico realize she didn't just know sign language. She lived it. You knew around here? Before Nico could answer, a hand clamped down on his shoulder, hard enough to make him flinch. Step away from him. Marcus's voice was cold steel.
Now.
Elise jerked back, her eyes going wide. Marcus moved between them like a wall, his jacket falling open just enough to show the shoulder holster underneath. He needed help ordering. I don't care what you were doing. Marcus's free hand hovered near his weapon. Walk away.
Marcus, no.
Nico grabbed his minder's sleeve, signing frantically. She helped me. She's nice.
She knows sign language.
Please don't scare her. But Marcus wasn't looking at him. His eyes were scanning the crowd, looking for threats, for cameras, for anyone paying too much attention to the boy he was paid 6 figures a year to keep alive. Ma'am, I apologize for any confusion, but you need to leave.
Now.
Elise held up both hands in surrender, backing toward the edge of the crowd.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean. I was just trying to help. Please, Nico signed to Marcus, tears finally spilling over. Please don't make her go. But she was already disappearing into the river of people, and Nico was left holding a perfect bowl of chicken noodles that suddenly didn't seem perfect anymore. Marcus knelt down, his face softening just slightly. You okay? You hurt. Nico shook his head, signing. She was nice. Why did you scare her? Because nice doesn't mean safe, kid. Marcus picked up the bowl and checked it. Actually checked it, like someone might have poisoned it in the 30 seconds Elise had been involved.
Come on.
Your father wants you home before 2-inch. As Marcus guided him toward the black sedan parked illegally by the fire hydrant, Nico looked back one more time. Through the crowd, he caught a glimpse of Elise, standing by a craft stall on the corner, watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Worry, maybe. Confusion, definitely. She raised one hand, signing, be safe. Then the sedan's door closed, and she was gone. Nico sat in the leather seat, holding his noodles, knowing with absolute certainty that Marcus would report this to his father. Knowing that the woman named Elise, the first person outside his family's world to truly see him, would probably never come near him again. And knowing, somehow, that this wasn't over. Marcus didn't speak for 3 full blocks. His jaw worked like he was chewing glass, eyes flicking between the rearview mirror and the side streets. One hand stayed locked on the steering wheel. The other rested on his thigh, exactly where he could reach his weapon in under 2 seconds. Nico had seen this before. The heightened alert. The razor-sharp focus. Usually it happened after his father made the news, or when some rival family got bold enough to make threats. Not after a woman helped him order noodles. Why are you upset? Nico signed from the back seat. Marcus's eyes met his in the mirror. Eat your food. She was helping me. I said eat. Nico set the bowl on the seat beside him, untouched. His appetite had vanished the moment he saw fear flash across Elise's face, the way normal people looked when they accidentally stepped too close to his world. His phone buzzed. A text from his tutor. See you at 3 for math. Don't forget your workbook. Like math mattered. Like anything mattered when he couldn't even order lunch without armed supervision. The sedan pulled through the iron gates of the Romano estate. 12 acres of manicured lawns, stone fountains, and security cameras hidden in every third tree. Home.
Prison.
Same difference. Marcus killed the engine but didn't get out. Instead, he turned in his seat, looking at Nico directly for the first time since the market. Listen to me carefully. His voice had lost its edge, replaced by something that almost sounded like concern. That woman, the one who helped you. Did you know her? Had you seen her before? Nico shook his head. Did you give her anything? Money, your name, any information?
Just my name.
That's all. She signed hers too.
Elise.
Marcus's expression darkened. How did she know you needed help? Because I was struggling and she was paying attention. Nico's hands moved sharply, frustrated. Because she's a good person who knows sign language. Why is that suspicious? Because good people don't approach you by accident, Nico. Not you, Marcus rubbed his face, suddenly looking exhausted. Your father has enemies. Lots of them. And they know the easiest way to hurt him is through you. Nico had heard versions of this speech his entire life. Don't talk to strangers. Don't wander off. Don't trust anyone outside the family. Don't exist without permission. She wasn't an enemy. She was just nice. Nice is a tactic, kid. Nice is how people get close. Marcus opened his door, then paused. I have to report this to your father. You understand that, right? It's my job. Nico understood perfectly. He also understood that after Marcus filed his report, Elise would probably be investigated. Background check.
Surveillance.
Maybe even a friendly visit from his father's men, warning her to stay away from the Romano boy. All because she'd helped him order chicken noodles. Inside, the mansion was tomb quiet. Nico's footsteps echoed on the marble floors as he headed toward his room. He passed the formal dining room where his father held meetings that ended with handshakes and blood. Past the library where his mother used to read to him before the cancer took her 3 years ago. Past photographs of a family that looked normal in still frames, but dissolved into armed guards and coded conversations the moment anyone pressed play. His room was the only place that felt like his. Shelves of books he'd read twice. Drawing supplies scattered across a desk by the window. A wall covered in his artwork, mostly portraits of people he'd never meet, living lives he'd never have. Nico pulled out his sketchbook and flipped to a blank page. Without thinking, his pencil began to move. Dark hair in a ponytail. Kind eyes. Hands that spoke his language. Within minutes, Elise's face emerged on the paper, not perfect, but real. Smiling the way she'd smiled at the noodle stall, before Marcus ruined everything. A knock at the door. His father didn't wait for permission before entering. Romano Sr. moved like a shark, smooth, purposeful, dressed in a suit that cost more than most people's cars. At 45, he ran one of the most powerful crime families on the East Coast. At home, he was just the man who signed Nico's report cards and forgot his birthday. Marcus told me what happened. Romano's voice was neutral. Not angry, not worried. Just collecting information. Nico set down his pencil. A woman approached you at the market. Helped you order food. Spoke sign language. Romano crossed the room, studying the sketch. Pretty. Is this her? Nico nodded slowly. Marcus thinks she might be a plant. Someone trying to get close to you. Romano sat on the edge of the bed, and for a moment, he looked less like a crime boss and more like a tired father. What do you think? I think she saw a kid struggling and decided to help. That's all. People don't just help in our world, Nico. Maybe that's the problem with our world. Romano's expression flickered, surprise, maybe even pride, before settling back into neutral. I'm having her checked out. Standard procedure. If she's clean, no harm done. If she's not, he stood, straightening his cuffs.
Well,
we'll handle it. Don't hurt her. Please. I don't hurt innocent people, son. I'm not a monster. Romano paused at the door. But I am your father. And I will do whatever it takes to keep you safe. Even if you don't understand why. The door closed with a soft click. Nico looked down at his drawing of Elise, at the smile he'd captured in graphite and paper. Somewhere across the city, she was probably already being watched, photographed, investigated. All because she'd been kind to a boy who couldn't speak. Elise lived on the 4th floor of a walk-up that had seen better decades. The elevator had been broken since April. The hallway smelled like Mrs. Chen's cooking from 4B, always something with fish sauce and star anise. Home. She juggled her daughter's school backpack, 2 grocery bags, and the takeout container of vegetable noodles she'd never gotten to eat yesterday. Her keys were somewhere in her jacket pocket, naturally buried under receipts and candy wrappers. "Mom, I can carry something," Mina called from 3 steps behind, already breathing hard. "Save your energy for homework, baby. Is it the hard math tonight?" "It's always the hard math." Elise finally found her keys, dropped them, and watched them skitter under the doormat.
Perfect.
Absolutely perfect end to a perfectly weird day. She'd spent last night lying awake, replaying the encounter at the noodle stall. The boy's desperate eyes. The guard's hand hovering near his gun. The way they disappeared into that black sedan, like something out of a movie. Who kept a 10-year-old under armed protection? She'd asked her neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, if she'd heard of any families named Romano in the area. The old woman's face had gone carefully blank. "Why do you want to know?" "Just curious." "Curiosity about that family gets people hurt, Mija. Let it go." But Elise couldn't let it go. That boy, Nico, had looked so relieved when she'd signed to him. So grateful for such a small kindness. What kind of life did he have where a simple conversation felt like a gift? Mina squeezed past her into the apartment, immediately dropping her backpack and heading for the bathroom. "Mom, I really gotta go." "Then go. Why are you announcing it?" Elise kicked the door shut behind her and headed for the kitchen. The noodles went in the fridge. The groceries went somewhere. She'd organize later. Right now, she needed to check if the rent check had cleared and whether she could afford to pick up an extra shift at the craft store this weekend. Being a single mom meant math never stopped. Dollar store pasta or name brand. Generic cereal or the kind Mina actually liked. New shoes now or wait until after the school pictures. She was elbow deep in the grocery bags when Mina's voice drifted from the bathroom. "Mom, there's a car outside." "What?" "A fancy car. Black and shiny." Elise's stomach dropped. She moved to the window, nudging the curtain aside just enough to see. A black sedan idled at the curb, the same model from yesterday or close enough. A driver in a dark suit stood beside the rear door, checking his phone with the casual patience of someone being paid to wait. "Mom, do we know rich people now?" "Stay inside," Elise said quietly. "Lock the door behind me." "Where are you going?" "Just stay inside." She took the stairs 2 at a time, her heart hammering against her ribs. This was a mistake. A misunderstanding. Maybe they had the wrong address. Maybe. The driver looked up as she pushed through the lobby door. Mid-40s, clean-cut, the kind of calm that came from seeing too much to be surprised by anything. "Miss Chun?" he asked politely. Her mother's maiden name. She hadn't used it in years, not since the divorce. "It's Ms. Walker now. And you are?" A representative of the Romano family. He reached into his jacket, slowly, deliberately, and pulled out a black envelope. "Mr. Romano asked me to deliver this personally." Elise didn't take it. "I don't want anything from the Romanos. It's a thank you for helping his son yesterday." "I helped a kid order noodles. That doesn't require a thank you note." Mr. Romano disagrees. The driver held the envelope closer.
"Please."
It would be disrespectful to refuse. Every instinct screamed at her to run back upstairs and pretend this never happened. But the driver's expression wasn't threatening.
Just
insistent. She took the envelope. It was heavy. Expensive paper stock, the kind you couldn't buy at CVS. Her name was written on the front in actual fountain pen, the letters flowing like calligraphy. "Thank you for accepting," the driver said. "Mr. Romano wishes you to know that Nico hasn't stopped talking about your kindness." Talking? Signing? A ghost of a smile. "You made quite an impression." Before she could respond, he was back in the driver's seat. The sedan pulled away from the curb smoothly, leaving Elise standing on the sidewalk holding an envelope that felt like it weighed 10 pounds. She waited until the car turned the corner before opening it. Inside was a handwritten note on cream-colored cardstock. "Ms. Walker, Please accept my gratitude for assisting my son yesterday. Nico has specific needs, and your willingness to help him meant more than you know. He is often isolated due to circumstances beyond his control, and genuine kindness toward him is rare. The enclosed is a small token of my appreciation. Please use it however you see fit. With respect, Dante Romano. Beneath the note was a stack of $100 bills. Elise counted them twice, her hands shaking. $5,000. For helping a kid order noodles. She looked up at her building, at the fourth-floor window where Mina's face was pressed against the glass, watching. $5,000 would cover 3 months of rent. New shoes for Mina. The dentist appointment she'd been postponing. Maybe even a small emergency fund. Blood money, whispered the voice in her head that sounded like her ex-husband. You know what Romanos do for a living? But a louder voice, the one that sounded like her exhausted, practical self, whispered back. You also know what rent costs. Elise folded the envelope and headed back inside. She'd return it tomorrow. First thing. She'd find the Romano estate, hand it back, and make it clear she didn't want their money or their gratitude or anything to do with whatever world that boy lived in. Tomorrow. Tonight, just for a few hours, she'd let herself imagine what it felt like not to be drowning. The black envelope sat on Elise's kitchen counter all morning, untouched. She'd circled it 3 times while making Mina's breakfast, glared at it while packing her daughter's lunch, finally shoved it in her purse before walking Mina to school, determined to find a way to return it today. Mom, you're walking too fast, Mina complained, her little hand gripping tighter. Sorry, baby. Elise slowed down, but her mind was still racing. She'd called the local library, the community center, even the police non-emergency line, trying to figure out how to contact the Romano family without actually contacting them. No one would help. Most people just got quiet when she mentioned the name. Madison Elementary came into view, a cheerful brick building with a playground that had seen better days. Parents clustered near the gate, chatting about bake sales and field trip permissions. Normal problems. Normal lives. Elise kissed Mina's forehead. Be good. Learn things. Mom, you say that every day. And every day I mean it. Mina rolled her eyes but smiled, then ran off to join her friend Sophie near the swings. 7 years old, and already too cool for mom hugs in public. It happened so fast. Elise was turning to leave when she saw it. The black sedan. Parked across the street, engine idling. Her breath caught. Not here. Not at Mina's school. She walked toward it, anger overriding caution. If the Romanos thought they could intimidate her, show up where her daughter learned and played. The rear window rolled down. Nico's face appeared, breaking into the biggest smile she'd ever seen on a child. His hands immediately started moving. Elise.
Hi.
I didn't know you'd be here. The anger drained out of her, replaced by confusion. Nico. He nodded enthusiastically, pointing at the school. Do you work here? A different guard sat in the driver's seat, older than Marcus, with gray at his temples and kinder eyes. He leaned toward the window. Ms. Walker?
I'm Thomas.
I apologize if we startled you. We're just waiting for Nico's tutor. She teaches at the school. His tutor? Miss Patterson. 4th grade. She comes to the estate 3 times a week, but Wednesdays she has us pick her up here. Thomas's voice was professional but warm. We had no idea you had a connection to Madison Elementary. Nico was still signing, his hands a blur. Is this your school? Do you teach here? Do you have kids here? My daughter, Elise said slowly, her brain still catching up.
Mina.
She's in 2nd grade. 2nd grade. Nico's eyes lit up. I remember 2nd grade. That's when Mrs. Lee taught me about fractions with pizza. Despite everything, the money in her purse, the warnings from neighbors, the weirdness of this entire situation, Elise found herself smiling. You like pizza fractions? I like any math with food. Ms. Walker, Thomas interrupted gently, I know yesterday was intense. Marcus can be overly cautious. Mr. Romano wanted me to tell you that if you ever see Nico again, there's no need to keep your distance. You made him very happy. The envelope in her purse seemed to burn. About that. But Nico was signing again. Can I meet your daughter? Please? I promise I'm good with kids. Well, I am a kid, but you know what I mean. Nico, I don't think. Please? His face was so hopeful, so genuinely excited. I never get to meet other kids. Just tutors and guards and my dad's business people. They're all boring. A teacher emerged from the school, Miss Patterson, clipboard in hand, heading toward the sedan. Nico's face fell slightly when he saw her. That's my cue, he signed with less enthusiasm. Math time. You don't like math. I like math. I don't like being alone with only adults all the time. His hands moved slower now, sadder. It gets quiet. Something in Elise's chest cracked. She thought about Mina, who complained about too many playdates, too many birthday parties to attend, too much noise at school. She thought about this boy who lived in a mansion but was surrounded by silence. Nico, she said carefully, I'll think about it. Okay? Maybe sometime you and Mina could. I don't know. Play at the park? His entire face transformed. Really? Maybe. I need to. There are things I need to figure out first. Miss Patterson reached the car, nodding politely at Elise before opening the door. Ready for algebra, Nico? He signed something that made Thomas chuckle, then turned back to Elise one more time. Thank you. For yesterday. For today. For maybe tomorrow. The window rolled up. Miss Patterson slid into the back seat, immediately pulling out textbooks. Through the tinted glass, Elise could see Nico watching her, waving until the sedan pulled away from the curb. She stood there long after the car disappeared, parents flowing around her like water around a stone. Her phone buzzed. A text from her boss at the craft store. Can you cover Sharon's shift Saturday? Double pay. Double pay meant she could return the $5,000. Could walk away clean, knowing she'd helped a lonely kid but didn't owe the Romano family anything. Could go back to her normal life. Except now she couldn't stop thinking about Nico's face when he'd said it gets quiet. Couldn't stop remembering Mina at that age, desperate for friends, for connection, for someone to understand her. The envelope in her purse felt heavier than ever. Elise pulled it out, staring at the careful handwriting. $5,000. A fortune. A trap. A thank you note from a man whose name made people go silent. She thought about Nico's smile. She thought about Mina's kind heart. She thought about what her mother used to say. Sometimes the right thing and the safe thing aren't the same thing, Mija. That's when you find out who you really are. Elise put the envelope back in her purse and headed to work. She still hadn't decided what to do. But she was starting to realize that maybe, just maybe, returning the money wasn't the answer. Understanding why it was given might be. The park near Madison Elementary wasn't much. 2 rusty swing sets, a slide that got too hot in summer, and a sandbox that desperately needed fresh sand. But it had shade trees and benches where exhausted parents could sit, and that was enough. Elise hadn't planned to come here today. She'd picked up Mina from school like always, intending to head straight home for homework and dinner prep. But Mina had begged, "Please, Mom, just 20 minutes?" And Elise was too tired to argue. So here they were, Mina racing toward the swings while Elise claimed a bench and tried to convince herself she wasn't looking for a black sedan. She'd kept the money. 3 days now, and the envelope sat in her underwear drawer like a ticking bomb. She'd tried twice to find the Romano estate, once by asking at the post office, once by searching online. Nothing. People who knew weren't talking, and people who talked didn't know. Maybe that was a sign to let it go.
Mom.
Push me. Elise smiled and headed toward the swings, leaving her purse on the bench. The park was nearly empty, just one other parent scrolling through their phone near the water fountain, and an older man on the far bench reading a newspaper. Not a parent, Elise realized as she pushed Mina higher.
A guard.
The newspaper was too still, his posture too alert. Her stomach tightened. Higher, Mom. She pushed harder, scanning the park. That's when she saw him. Nico sat alone on the opposite swing set, legs dangling, drawing something in a small notebook. A different guard stood 10 feet away, Thomas, the kind one from the school. He was watching Nico with the careful attention of someone who knew his job wasn't just protection. It was companionship. Nico looked up, saw Elise, and his entire face exploded with joy. He jumped off the swing and started toward her, notebook clutched to his chest. Thomas moved to follow, but Nico signed something sharp that made the guard pause. Elise. Nico's hands moved frantically as he approached. You came. Is Mina here? Can I meet her? Please say, I can meet her. Mina had stopped swinging, watching this strange boy sign with intense curiosity. Mom? Who's that? That's Nico. Remember I told you about the boy I helped at the noodle shop? The one who can't talk. The one who speaks with his hands. Elise corrected gently. Nico had reached them now, bouncing slightly on his toes. He waved at Mina, then signed.
Hi, I'm Nico.
You're Mina, right?
Your mom told me about you. Mina started.
I don't know what you're saying. Nico's face fell slightly. He looked at Elise helplessly. He says hi, Elise translated. He wants to know if you'd like to be friends. Oh. Mina hopped off the swing. Okay. Do you like the slide? Nico nodded enthusiastically. Can you go fast? Another nod, bigger this time. Race you. Mina took off running. Nico hesitated, looking back at Thomas. The guard signed something, stay where I can see you, and Nico grinned, racing after Mina. Thomas approached Elise with a slight smile. I swear this wasn't planned. Nico insisted on park time today.
He's been
restless lately. Does he get out much? Not enough. Thomas settled onto the bench beside her, maintaining a clear line of sight to both children. Mr. Romano tries, but Nico's situation is complicated. Other kids don't know how to communicate with him. Their parents, he trailed off diplomatically. Get nervous when they hear the name Romano, Elise finished. Something like that. They watched as Mina climbed the ladder to the slide, talking a mile a minute while Nico followed. At the top, Mina demonstrated some elaborate sliding technique involving sitting sideways. Nico tried to copy her, tumbled at the bottom, and came up laughing, silently but genuinely. He's laughing, Thomas said quietly, wonder in his voice. He doesn't laugh much these days. Elise felt that crack in her chest widen. What happened to his mother?
Cancer.
3 years ago. She was the one who learned sign language first, made sure everyone in the house could communicate with him. After she died, Thomas shook his head. Mr. Romano does his best. But he's not equipped for a son who needs more than security. At the slide, Mina had produced a small bag of goldfish crackers from her pocket. She offered some to Nico, who accepted like she'd handed him treasure. They sat in the mulch, Mina chattering while Nico drew pictures in his notebook. What's he drawing? Elise asked. Thomas pulled out his phone, zooming in with the camera. Your daughter, it looks like.
And
noodle bowls? He's adding stick figures. He showed Elise the screen. 3 stick figures, carefully drawn. 1 small with pigtails, Mina. 1 larger with a ponytail, Elise. 1 medium-sized with spiky hair, Nico himself. Above them, 3 steaming bowls of noodles, surrounded by hearts. Elise's throat went tight. Mina was pointing at herself in the drawing, delighted. Nico tore out the page and handed it to her like a gift. She held it carefully, reverently, the way kids do when something is truly special. Can he come to my birthday party? Mina called across the playground. It's in 2 weeks. We're having pizza. Elise opened her mouth to say no, to explain why that was complicated, why mixing their worlds was dangerous. But Nico was looking at her with those hopeful eyes, signing. Could I? Really? And Mina was already planning. We can play games. Do you like musical chairs? Oh, but you can't hear the music. That's okay. You can watch me, and when I stop moving, you stop moving. Thomas leaned closer to Elise. Mr. Romano would ensure proper security. Discreet. You wouldn't even know they were there. That's what I'm afraid of, Elise muttered. But she was watching Mina teach Nico some kind of clapping game, adjusting the rules on the fly, so he could follow without hearing the rhythm. She was watching a lonely boy smile more in 10 minutes than he probably had in 3 years. Mom. Mina ran over, Nico trailing behind. Can Nico come? Please? He's nice. And he draws really good. Please? Nico signed. I'll bring my own security. You won't have to worry about anything. I just want to eat pizza with normal kids. Normal kids.
Like it was a foreign concept.
Elise looked at Thomas. I need to think about it. Of course. And I need to talk to Mr. Romano. Face to face. Thomas's eyebrows rose. That can be arranged. Nico was signing something else now. Faster, excited. Thank you for letting me meet Mina. Thank you for not being scared. Thank you for... Nico. Elise interrupted gently. You don't have to thank me for treating you like a kid. That should be normal. His hands stilled. Then slowly, but it's not. Not for me. Mina tugged on Elise's sleeve. Mom, can we give Nico our phone number? So he can call us? Oh wait, he can't call. Can he text? I can text. Nico signed, and Elise translated. Before she could reconsider, she was adding Nico's number to her phone. The guard's actually a secure line that went straight to Thomas, who would relay messages. Everything about this was complicated. Everything about this felt dangerous. But when Mina hugged Nico goodbye, and he hugged her back like she was the most precious thing in the world, Elise knew she'd already made her choice. The security room in the Romano estate was pure technology, 20 screens displaying feeds from every camera on the property, plus a few monitoring locations throughout the city. Dante Romano sat in the leather chair usually occupied by his head of security, watching one screen in particular. The park. Timestamp. 4:47 p.m. He'd watched the footage 3 times now. Nico running toward the swings. The little girl with pigtails racing him to the slide. His son, his guarded, isolated, lonely son, laughing. Actually laughing. Run it again, Dante said quietly. Marcus stood behind him, tablet in hand with Elise Walker's full background check. Sir, I still think. I didn't ask what you think. I asked you to run it again. The footage replayed. Dante leaned forward, studying every frame. The way Nico's posture relaxed around the Walker woman. How the little girl adapted her games instantly when she realized Nico couldn't hear. The unguarded joy on his son's face when the girl gave him a goldfish cracker like it was gold. When was the last time Nico had looked like that? Before Maria died, certainly. Maybe not even then. The cancer had cast a shadow over their last 2 years together, and Nico had always been perceptive, always aware something was wrong. Tell me about her again, Dante said. Everything. Marcus sighed, but consulted his tablet.
Élise Marie Walker, née Chen.
28 years old. Divorced from David Walker 3 years ago. Messy split. Restraining order involved, but it expired without incident. Full custody of daughter Mina, age 7. Works 2 jobs. Full-time at Henderson's Craft Supply, part-time waitressing at Mel's Diner on weekends. Rents a 4th floor walk-up on Fletcher Street. Behind on utilities twice in the past year, but always catches up. Financial troubles. Single mom troubles, more like. She's not living beyond her means. There's just not enough means, Marcus scrolled down. No criminal record.
No questionable associations.
Volunteers at a women's shelter on Tuesday nights teaching, he paused. Teaching what? Sign language, Marcus looked up. She's been teaching ASL classes there for 2 years. Free of charge. Dante felt something shift in his chest. Why? Her younger brother was deaf. Hit by a car when she was 17, died on impact. After that, she learned ASL, got certified, started teaching it to anyone who'd listen. Marcus's voice softened slightly. By all accounts, she's exactly what she appears to be. Someone who helps people. The screen showed Nico handing Mina the drawing, the little girl's delighted reaction. Simple.
Pure.
Everything Dante's world wasn't. The daughter, Mina. Second grader at Madison Elementary. Same school Nico's tutor works at. Correct. Honor roll last semester. Teacher says she's kind but talks too much in class. Marcus almost smiled.
Sounds familiar. Dante ignored the jab.
And the ex-husband. David Walker. Electrician. Remarried, lives in Nevada now. Hasn't contacted Elise or Mina in over a year. Sends child support irregularly. Marcus pulled up a photo. Not a threat. Everyone's a threat until proven otherwise. Sir, with respect, sometimes a kind gesture is just a kind gesture. Marcus set down the tablet. The woman saw a kid struggling and helped. That's it. There's no conspiracy here. Dante replayed the footage one more time. Froze it on Nico's face. Pure, uncomplicated happiness. 3 years. 3 years since Maria died and Nico's world had shrunk to tutors, guards, and the crushing weight of being Dante Romano's only child. His heir. His vulnerability. His greatest weakness. Dante had built empires on reading people, on knowing when to trust and when to eliminate threats. He'd survived 2 decades in this business by never taking chances, never letting emotion override logic. But he was also a father. And his son had made a friend. The daughter invited Nico to her birthday party, Marcus said, breaking the silence. Thomas told me. 2 weeks from Saturday. Pizza place called Gino's on 4th. Public venue. Multiple exit points. Civilian casualties if something goes wrong. Or, Marcus countered carefully, a normal kid's birthday party where Nico eats pizza and plays games for 2 hours. Under discreet supervision. Dante stood, walking to the window overlooking the estate grounds. Nico was out there somewhere, probably in his room drawing more pictures of his new friend. When Dante had checked on him an hour ago, his son had been practically vibrating with excitement, signing so fast Thomas had to ask him to slow down. She's my friend, Dad. My actual friend. Not someone paid to watch me or teach me. Someone who wants to know me. How did you tell your 10-year-old that friendship was a luxury people like them couldn't afford? That every connection was a potential liability, every relationship a thread enemies could pull? How did you explain that love made you weak when you'd spent 30 years weaponizing that exact weakness in others? Increase surveillance on the Walker woman, Dante said finally. Discreet. If she's clean, I don't want her spooked. If she's not, he didn't finish the sentence. And the birthday party. Dante was quiet for a long moment, watching his reflection in the window. He looked tired. Old. Nothing like the man who'd taken over his father's operations at 25 and tripled their territory in 10 years. He looked like a parent trying to choose between his son's safety and his son's happiness. Tell Thomas to prepare a security assessment of the venue. Full workup. I want exits mapped, sightlines clear, background checks on every employee who'll be working that day. So that's a yes. That's a maybe. Dante turned from the window. Set up a meeting with Elise Walker. Neutral location.
Public.
I want to look her in the eye. She's been trying to return your money. I know. That's the only reason I'm considering this. Dante headed for the door, then paused. People who want something from us take the money and ask for more. People who want nothing from us, he trailed off, are either genuine or very, very good, Marcus finished. Exactly. Dante pulled out his phone, scrolling to a photo from 2 years ago. Nico at his mother's funeral, small and silent and surrounded by strangers in black suits. Then he opened Thomas's latest message, a photo from today. Nico at the park, mid-laugh, goldfish cracker in hand.
Night and day.
Death and life. Set up the meeting, Dante said quietly. But Marcus? If she's playing us, if this is some elaborate con or setup, I want to know before Nico gets hurt. Because if someone is using my son's loneliness against him. He didn't need to finish. Marcus had worked for Dante Romano long enough to know exactly what happened to people who hurt the family. Understood, sir. Dante nodded and left, heading upstairs to where Nico was probably still awake, probably still drawing, probably still believing that the world could be kind if you just found the right people. Dante had spent 30 years making sure people feared him. Maybe it was time to find out if someone could see past that and care about his son anyway. Not because of who the Romanos were, but despite it. The morning started normal enough. Elise opening her craft supply stall on Market Street, arranging skeins of yarn by color, pricing the new shipment of glass beads. Wednesday was usually slow. Most people shopped on weekends when they had time for hobbies. She'd just finished her coffee when she noticed them. 3 men, early 20s, wearing jackets too heavy for the weather. They weren't looking at her stall. They were looking at her, whispering. One of them pointed. Elise's stomach tightened. She recognized the type, neighborhood guys who thought petty intimidation made them powerful. The kind her ex-husband used to drink with before the restraining order. She focused on straightening her display of fabric scissors, hoping they'd move on. They didn't. The tallest one approached, hands in his pockets, chin up like he owned the street. "You're the lady from Fletcher Street, right? 4th floor." Every instinct screamed at her to lie. "Can I help you find something?" "We're looking for information." Actually, he leaned against her table, making the beads rattle. "Word is you got connections to the Romano family now. That true?" Elise's blood went cold. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Black sedan parked outside your building 3 days ago. Driver handed you an envelope." The second man spoke now, shorter, meaner looking. "People saw." "That was a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" The tall one laughed. "Lady, the Romanos don't do misunderstandings. They do business. So either you're working for them, or..." He picked up a spool of ribbon, examined it, then dropped it deliberately on the ground. "You got something they want. I helped a kid order food. That's it." "That's all." Elise kept her voice steady despite her racing heart. "There's no connection."
Right.
"So they just hand out envelopes full of cash to random strangers now." The third man, who'd been silent until now, stepped closer. He smelled like cigarettes and cheap cologne. "How much was in it?" "I don't." "How much?" His voice dropped, dangerous. "That's none of your business." Elise straightened, trying to channel confidence she didn't feel. "And you need to leave."
Now.
The tall one smiled, not friendly. "Here's the thing. This street? We protect it. Make sure the shop owners stay safe, you know? Trouble-free. But protection costs money. I'm not paying you anything. See, normally we'd agree. Your little stall here? Not worth our time. But if you got Romano money," he shrugged. "That changes the math. Call it a neighborhood tax. I already told you. $200 by Friday." The short one interrupted. "Then we'll see about next week. I'm not giving you anything. Get away from my stall." The tall one's smile vanished. "You think because some mafia boss gave you a handout you're protected? Lady, the Romanos don't care about you. Whatever you did, whatever you think you are to them, you're not. You're just another person on their radar, and that makes you a liability to everyone around you." He swept his arm across her table. Beads scattered, yarn rolled into the street, scissors clattered against pavement. "Friday. 200. Or we come back less friendly." They walked away, laughing, leaving Elise standing amid her destroyed display with shaking hands. She was on her knees collecting beads when Mrs. Rodriguez appeared, helping gather the scattered supplies. "I told you," the old woman said quietly. "Curiosity about that family brings trouble." "I didn't ask for any of this," Elise's voice cracked. "I just helped a kid." "I know, Mija. But the world doesn't care about intentions." Mrs. Rodriguez handed her a fistful of beads. "Those boys, Dante's crew, they call themselves wannabe gangsters who think intimidating shop owners makes them tough. Normally they're all talk. And now they think you have access to real money, real power." She shook her head. "You need to make this right. Either return whatever the Romanos gave you and make it public, or what?" Mrs. Rodriguez didn't answer. Across the street, Elise caught movement. A black sedan parked in the loading zone, engine running.
Her heart jumped.
Had they seen what happened? Were they watching her all the time now? The rear window was tinted, but she could feel eyes on her. Then she saw him. Just for a moment, a small face pressed against the glass. Nico. His hand came up in a small wave. The sedan pulled away before she could respond. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thomas here. Nico insisted on visiting the noodle shop. Saw you across the street. He wanted me to tell you. He hopes you're having a good day. Elise looked at her destroyed stall, at the beads still scattered in the gutter, at the spot where 3 men had just threatened her because a lonely boy's father had said thank you. She typed back, "Tell him I am. Tell him everything's fine." Then she deleted it and wrote, "Tell him thanks for thinking of me." Because it wasn't Nico's fault. None of this was his fault. He was just a kid who wanted a friend, who'd smiled at her daughter, who drew pictures of noodle bowls and stick figures like those things were treasures. But the tall guy had been right about one thing. Being on the Romano radar changed everything. Made her visible in ways she couldn't afford. Put her in the path of people who saw her as an opportunity, a threat, or a target. She gathered the last of her supplies and started rebuilding her display with trembling hands.
Her phone buzzed again.
This time a different number. "Ms. Walker, this is Marcus from the Romano family. Mr. Romano would like to meet with you. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Café Lucia on Hampton Street. Public location. Come alone or bring someone if it makes you comfortable. We need to discuss your safety." Elise stared at the message. Your safety. Like they'd already known. Like they'd been watching when those men came. Like every move she made was being monitored, cataloged, assessed. She thought about ignoring it. Thought about packing up her stall, grabbing Mina from school, and disappearing somewhere the Romano name meant nothing. But she also thought about Nico's face in that window. About the drawing he'd given Mina. About a 10-year-old who'd lost his mother and found something like hope in a stranger's kindness. She texted back, "I'll be there. Just me." Then she added, "And I'm bringing your money back. All of it." The response came immediately. "Mr. Romano expected you would. He looks forward to meeting you." Elise finished setting up her stall, waved away Mrs. Rodriguez's concerned looks, and tried to pretend her hands weren't still shaking. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., she'd meet a Mafia boss. Tonight, she just had to survive until closing time without falling apart. Elise didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed watching shadows move across her ceiling, thinking about the meeting tomorrow.
Café Lucia.
2 p.m. A public place where she'd sit across from Dante Romano and try to explain that she wanted nothing to do with his world. Except she'd already agreed to let Nico come to Mina's birthday party. Already exchanged numbers. Already let their lives tangle together in ways she couldn't easily undo. By morning, she'd made a decision.
Distance.
Starting now. She dropped Mina at school with strict instructions. Straight to Ms. Chen's classroom.
No stopping.
No talking to anyone you don't know. Mom, you're being weird. I'm being careful. There's a difference. The market was already bustling when Elise arrived, but she deliberately avoided her usual route past the noodle stall. Took the long way around, kept her head down, focused on setting up her craft supplies like it was the most important thing in the world. The envelope with Romano's money sat at the bottom of her purse, $5,000 in hundreds that felt like burning coals. She'd give it back today. Make everything clear. Draw a clean line between their worlds. It was the smart thing to do. The safe thing. So why did her chest feel tight? "Morning, Elise." Mr. Chen called from his stall, waving a spatula. "You on your usual for lunch?" "Not today." "Thanks anyway." She busied herself arranging yarn, helping customers, anything to keep her hands occupied and her mind focused. Mrs. Rodriguez stopped by around 11, bringing coffee from the good place 2 blocks over. "You look terrible," the old woman said flatly. "Thanks. Really needed to hear that." "I mean it." "You didn't sleep," Mrs. Rodriguez studied her face. "What happened?" Elise almost told her about the meeting, about the plan to return the money and end this. But something held her back. Maybe the fear that saying it out loud would make it too real. Just worried about Mina, she lied. You know how it is. Mrs. Rodriguez didn't look convinced, but she let it go. The afternoon crawled by. 1:30. 1:45. Elise was just about to pack up early when she heard it, the distinctive sound of expensive shoes on pavement. She looked up. Thomas stood at the edge of her stall, Nico beside him. The boy wore a blue jacket and carried a small paper bag, his face bright with excitement.
No.
Not now. Not today. Elise. Nico signed enthusiastically. I brought you something. Her stomach dropped. She couldn't do this. Couldn't look at his hopeful face and then go tell his father to leave her alone. Nico, I'm actually really busy right now. It'll just take a second.
Look.
He thrust the paper bag toward her. Thomas stepped forward apologetically. Ms. Walker, we were just passing through. Nico insisted. I can't. Not today. Elise's voice came out sharper than intended. I'm sorry, but I have things to do. Nico's smile faltered.
Oh.
Okay. Maybe later. Maybe. I don't know. I'm very busy. The lie tasted awful, but she couldn't stop now. Couldn't let him pull her deeper into something that had already brought threats to her stall and stolen her sleep. Did I do something wrong? Nico's hands moved slower, uncertain.
No.
No, sweetie, you didn't. Elise caught herself. Couldn't call him sweetie. Couldn't be gentle. Had to be firm. You're a nice kid, Nico. But I have a lot going on and I can't right now. She turned away, pretending to organize already organized supplies. In her peripheral vision, she saw Nico's hands drop to his sides. Saw Thomas place a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. Come on, Nico. Let's head back. But the present. She's busy. We'll try another time. Elise kept her back turned, kept her hands moving, kept her eyes determinately on the yarn in front of her even though everything in her wanted to turn around and apologize. She heard their footsteps retreat, heard the car door close, heard the sedan pull away. Only then did she look. The paper bag sat on the corner of her table. Nico must have left it there while she wasn't looking. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a drawing, more detailed than the one he'd given Mina. This one showed Elise at her craft stall, surrounded by colorful yarn and beads that he'd painstakingly colored with markers. In the corner, a small figure of Nico waved. Above them both, in careful block letters, "Thank you for being nice." At the bottom, another message, "I'm sorry if I scared you. I just wanted a friend." Elise's eyes burned. She folded the drawing carefully and put it in her purse next to the envelope of money, next to all the complicated feelings she didn't know how to process. Across the street, she didn't notice the black sedan that had circled back. Didn't see Nico's face pressed against the window, watching her with an expression that broke Thomas's heart. The guard signed to him, "She's just having a hard day. It's not about you." But Nico was 10 years old and had been rejected by enough people to recognize it when he saw it. "It's always about me," he signed back. "It's always because of who my dad is." That's not true. Then why does everyone leave? Thomas had no answer for that. He just drove, watching in the rearview mirror as Nico pulled out his own sketchbook and turned to a drawing he'd been working on all week, a birthday party scene with him and Mina wearing party hats, eating pizza, surrounded by balloons. Slowly, carefully, Nico drew a large X over the entire picture. Then he closed the notebook and stared out the window in silence. At 1:55, Elise locked up her stall and headed toward Café Lucia with the envelope in her purse and Nico's drawing burning a hole in her conscience. She'd done the right thing, the safe thing. So, why did it feel so wrong? Inside the cafe, Dante Romano sat in a corner booth, watching the door, a cup of untouched espresso in front of him. His phone showed the security footage from Market Street, showed the whole painful encounter. He'd seen his son's face fall, seen the drawing left behind. Seeing the exact moment Nico realized that kindness had limits, and he existed on the wrong side of them. When Elise Walker walked through the door, Dante Romano wasn't thinking about business or security or threats. He was thinking about his son, alone in his room, crossing out pictures of birthday parties he'd never attend. And he was thinking that maybe, just maybe, this woman needed to understand what her fear had just cost. Dante Romano didn't look like a monster. That was Elise's first thought as she approached the corner booth. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car, his dark hair graying at the temples, his hands wrapped around an espresso cup like a normal person having a normal afternoon coffee. Then he looked up and she saw his eyes.
Cold.
Assessing. The eyes of someone who'd made difficult decisions and slept fine afterward. Ms. Walker, he stood, gestured to the seat across from him. Thank you for coming. Elise sat, clutching her purse like a shield. The cafe hummed with ordinary conversation, students studying, couples sharing pastries, a barista calling out drink orders. Safe.
Public.
Witnesses everywhere. I brought your money back. She pulled out the envelope, set it on the table between them. All of it. I appreciate the gesture, but I can't accept it. Dante glanced at the envelope but didn't touch it. May I ask why? Because accepting it brings trouble. Your trouble, she kept her voice low but firm. 3 men came to my stall yesterday, demanded protection money, because they think I have connections to your family. I don't want connections. I just want to run my business and raise my daughter in peace. I'm aware of the incident. It's been handled. Elise blinked. Handled? Those men won't bother you again. Dante's tone was matter-of-fact, like he dealt with a parking ticket instead of street thugs. They've been relocated, encouraged to find opportunities elsewhere. What does that mean? It means exactly what I said.
They're gone.
You're safe. Something in his certainty made her skin crawl. I don't want people relocated because of me. I don't want to be part of whatever world requires that kind of solution. Then you shouldn't have helped my son. The words landed like a slap. Elise stared at him. Excuse me? Dante leaned back, his expression unreadable. The moment you signed to Nico at that noodle stall, you became visible. People noticed. They always notice when someone shows kindness to my family. It's rare enough to be remarkable. He paused. You can't unring that bell, Ms. Walker. So what? I'm just stuck now? Marked because I helped a kid order chicken noodles.
No.
You're marked because you continued helping. You could have walked away after that first encounter. Instead, you let your daughter play with him, exchanged phone numbers, made him believe. Dante stopped, his jaw tightening. You made him hope. Guilt twisted in Elise's stomach. I didn't mean to hurt him. I saw the footage from today. From your stall. Dante pulled out his phone, queued up a video. Watch. She didn't want to, but he slid the phone across the table. On screen, she watched herself turn away from Nico. Watched his small shoulders slump. Watched him leave the drawing and walk away like he'd been doing it his whole life, accepting rejection with practiced resignation. He cried in the car, Dante said quietly. First time since his mother's funeral. Thomas said he crossed out every drawing he'd made of your daughter's birthday party. Elise pushed the phone back, her eyes stinging. I was trying to protect him. Protect both our families. By breaking his heart. By being realistic. Her voice rose, drawing glances from nearby tables. She lowered it again. Mr. Romano, I'm a single mom working 2 jobs. I live paycheck to paycheck in a 4th-floor walk-up. Your son lives in a mansion with armed guards. Our worlds don't mix. They can't. And yet they have. Then they need to unmix. For everyone's safety. Dante was quiet for a long moment, studying her face like he was solving a puzzle. You're afraid.
Not just of me or my business.
You're afraid of caring about him. I'm afraid of what happens to my daughter when your enemies decide she's leverage. Elise met his gaze directly. I'm afraid of men showing up at her school. Of cars following us home. Of her getting hurt because I was nice to the wrong kid. Nico isn't the wrong kid.
No.
But you're the wrong father to have. The words came out harsher than intended, but Elise didn't take them back.
I'm sorry.
That's just the truth. Something flickered across Dante's face. Pain, maybe, or acknowledgement. He picked up his espresso, took a sip, set it down with deliberate care. My wife used to say the same thing, he said finally. That marrying me meant our children would grow up in a cage. She wasn't wrong. Nico can't go to normal schools, can't have normal friends, can't exist without security protocols and threat assessments. He looked at her. But she also said that everyone deserves kindness, regardless of their circumstances. That children especially deserve to be seen as children, not as extensions of their parents' choices. I do see him as a child. That's why I'm doing this.
No.
You're doing this because it's easier to hurt him now than risk him getting hurt later. Dante leaned forward. I understand the instinct. I live by it. But, Ms. Walker, I've spent 30 years pushing people away to keep my family safe. You know what I learned?
Safe isn't the same as alive.
And Nico. He's been safe his whole life. He's never been alive. Before Elise could respond, Dante's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression changed, sharpened into something dangerous. We need to leave.
Now.
What? Your daughter's school. There's been an incident. He was already standing, throwing cash on the table. Thomas just reported suspicious activity near the playground. 2 men in a gray van, asking teachers about Mina Walker. Elise's blood turned to ice.
No. No, no, no.
My car is outside. We can be there in 4 minutes. She didn't think, didn't hesitate. Just grabbed her purse and ran. Behind her, she heard Dante speaking rapidly into his phone. I want eyes on every entrance. No one leaves that school until we identify those men. And get Marcus there now. They burst through the cafe doors into blinding sunlight. The black sedan was already at the curb, engine running. Dante held the door open, and Elise dove inside without a second thought about whose car she was entering or what it meant. All she could think was Mina.
Please let Mina be okay.
As the sedan peeled away from the curb, Dante's phone lit up with an incoming message. He read it, his jaw tightening. What? Elise demanded. What is it? He showed her the screen. A photo of Mina on the playground, circled in red. Below it, a message. We know you're protecting the Romano kid's new friend. Tell your boss the North Side isn't his territory anymore. Who sent that? Elise's voice shook. Dante's expression was carved from stone. Someone who just made a very serious mistake. The sedan moved through traffic like a shark through water. Fast, efficient, utterly illegal. Dante barked orders into his phone while Elise gripped the door handle, her heart hammering so hard she could barely breathe. Status, Dante snapped. Marcus's voice came through the speaker. I'm at the school. 2 men in a gray van, Pennsylvania plates. They approached a teacher's aide, showed her a photo of the Walker girl, claimed to be family friends. The aide got suspicious and alerted the principal. Van still in the parking lot. Don't let them leave. Sir, if we engage on school property. I said don't let them leave. Block them in if you have to. Call it a fender bender. Dante's voice was ice. But keep them there until I arrive. Elise found her voice. Is she safe? Is Mina safe? Ms. Walker is asking about her daughter. Dante relayed. The girl's in her classroom, Marcus confirmed. Doors locked, teacher aware.
She's fine.
We got here before anything happened. Before anything happened, Elise repeated, her voice breaking. They were going to take her. Oh, God, they were going to. They weren't going to succeed. Dante ended the call, his attention shifting to her. Ms. Walker, look at me. She couldn't. Could only see Mina's face. Imagine her scared, confused, calling for a mother who wasn't there. Elise, Dante's voice cut through her panic. Your daughter is safe. I give you my word. She will remain safe. Your word? Your word is what got us into this. The fear transformed into rage. You said those men were handled. You said they were gone. These aren't the same men. These are Kozlov's people. I don't care whose people they are. They came after my baby because of... She stopped, the realization hitting her. Because I met with you. Someone saw me go into that cafe. Dante's silence was confirmation enough. Oh my God, Elise pressed her hands to her face. This is exactly what I was afraid of. This is why I try to stay away. And staying away accomplished what? Those men still came. The threat still exists. Dante's tone wasn't cruel, just brutally honest. The Kozlovs have been testing my territory for months. They're using you to send a message that they can reach anyone under my protection. I'm not under your protection. You are now. The sedan pulled up to the school, and Dante was out before it fully stopped. Whether you want it or not. Madison Elementary looked normal from the outside. Children's artwork in windows, a hopscotch grid on the sidewalk, the American flag hanging limp in the still air. But Elise could see the tension. Marcus standing near the entrance, talking quietly into his radio. Thomas by the side gate, eyes scanning. A gray van boxed in by two vehicles, one of them Marcus's black SUV, the other a contractor's truck that had accidentally blocked the exit. The principal, Mrs. Henderson, met them at the door. Ms. Walker, Mina's fine. She doesn't know anything happened. We kept her inside during recess as a precaution. I need to see her. Of course. But first, Mrs. Henderson glanced at Dante. Mr. Romano, I wasn't aware you had a connection to this school. My son's tutor works here. Miss Patterson. Dante's voice was perfectly calm, perfectly reasonable. I happened to be with Ms. Walker when the security concern was reported. I wanted to ensure proper protocols were followed. It was a lie wrapped in truth, delivered so smoothly that Mrs. Henderson nodded like it made perfect sense. The police are on their way, she said. That won't be necessary. Dante pulled out his phone, made a call. Yes, this is Dante Romano. I need to speak with Chief Morrison. Tell him it's about the school incident. A pause. Robert, good. Listen, we have a situation at Madison Elementary. 2 men attempted to approach a student. Yes, very concerning. I'd like to handle this quietly. The school doesn't need the publicity, and the family would prefer discretion. Another pause, and Dante's expression hardened. I'm looking at their van right now. Pennsylvania plates, 7 Charlie 9er 234. Yes, I'll wait. Elise watched in horrified fascination as Dante Romano, a man whose business existed in the shadows, negotiated with the chief of police like they were old friends. Outstanding warrants, Dante said after a moment. Both of them. Marcus, did you hear that? The police are very interested in speaking with our parking lot friends. He ended the call. Chief Morrison is sending units now. Those men will be arrested on existing warrants. No mention of attempted kidnapping, no school investigation, no media attention. How did you, Mrs. Henderson started? I donate generously to the Police Benevolent Fund. Dante's smile didn't reach his eyes. Good relationships benefit everyone. Within minutes, 2 squad cars arrived. The men in the gray van tried to flee on foot but were tackled by officers before they reached the street. Elise watched them get cuffed, searched, loaded into patrol cars. One of them looked toward the school, toward her, with an expression that made her skin crawl. Then they were gone. Ms. Walker? Mrs. Henderson touched her arm gently. Mina's in room 204. Take all the time you need. Elise ran. She found her daughter sitting at a reading table, working on a math worksheet with her teacher, hovering nearby. Mina looked up, smiled her gap-toothed smile, completely oblivious to the danger that had circled her.
Mom.
You're early. Are we going for ice cream? Elise pulled her into a hug so tight that Mina squirmed. Baby, I love you so much. I love you too. But you're squishing me. Elise's voice caught. I just missed you. Over Mina's head, she saw Dante standing in the doorway. He nodded once, a gesture of respect or understanding, or perhaps just acknowledgement that they were now bound together by something neither of them had chosen. When Elise stepped into the hallway, Dante was waiting. The Kozlovs won't try again, he said quietly. I'm making that clear tonight. How? You don't want to know, he paused. But I need you to understand something. This happened because they thought you were vulnerable. An easy target to use against me. as long as they believe that you and Mina will be in danger. So, what are you saying? I'm saying the safest place for you right now is under my protection. Real protection. Not just surveillance, but actual security. I don't want to live in a cage. Neither does my son. But we adapt. Dante's expression softened slightly. You showed Nico kindness when no one else would. Let me return the favor. Let me keep your daughter safe. Elise looked back through the classroom window at Mina, who was now drawing hearts on her math worksheet. She thought about the men in the gray van, about the threats at her stall, about living every day wondering if today was the day something terrible happened. She thought about Nico's drawing, still in her purse, about his crossed-out birthday party pictures, about a lonely boy who just wanted a normal friend. No guards following us everywhere, she said finally. No one watching our apartment. Just make sure those people don't come back. Done. And Nico's birthday party invitation? It still stands. If he still wants to come after her voice faltered. After today at the market. Dante's expression shifted, surprise, then something that might have been gratitude. He'll want to come. Trust me. Then we'll see you Saturday after next.
Gino's Pizza.
2 p.m. She started to walk away, then stopped. Mr. Romano?
Thank you.
For getting here fast. For handling it. That's what family does, he said simply. We're not family.
No.
But Nico considers Mina his friend. And in my world, that's close enough. The message came that evening while Elise was making spaghetti, Mina's favorite. Her phone buzzed with a number she now recognized, Thomas's secure line. Mr. Romano requests a brief meeting tomorrow. 3 p.m., Riverside Park, near the fountain. He'd like to clarify arrangements moving forward. Nico will be present. Elise stared at the message, wooden spoon dripping marinara sauce onto the counter. She'd already agreed to the birthday party. Already accepted Romano's help at the school. What more could he possibly want? Why Nico? She typed back. Mr. Romano believes certain conversations are better had in person. And Nico has something he'd like to say. Elise's chest tightened, remembering the boy's face when she'd turned him away. The drawing he'd left behind, now tucked in her bedside drawer because she couldn't bear to look at it. Can I bring Mina? Mr. Romano hoped you would. Riverside Park on a Thursday afternoon was peaceful, joggers on the path, elderly couples feeding ducks, a street musician playing saxophone near the bridge. Normal.
Safe.
The kind of place where nothing bad could possibly happen. Except Dante Romano sat on a bench by the fountain, and nothing about him screamed normal. Nico sat beside his father, swinging his legs, wearing a green jacket and clutching something in his hands. When he spotted Elise and Mina approaching, he didn't jump up or wave. Just watched, uncertain. Remember what we talked about, Elise whispered to Mina. Be polite, be kind, but stay close to me. Is that the boy who can't talk? He can communicate just fine. He just does it differently. Mina nodded seriously, like this was important information to remember. Dante stood as they approached. Ms. Walker. Thank you for coming. He gestured to the bench. Please sit. Elise sat on the opposite end, Mina tucked against her side. The space between them felt significant, a physical representation of all the boundaries she was trying to maintain. Nico shifted, looking at his father anxiously. Nico has something he'd like to say, Dante prompted gently. Go ahead, son. The boy's hands moved slowly, deliberately. I'm sorry for making you uncomfortable. I didn't mean to bring you trouble. Elise's throat tightened. Oh, honey, you didn't. I did. His hands were firm now. People came to your stall because of me. People scared you at school because of me. My dad explained it. I understand. Nico. But I want you to know something. He glanced at his father, who nodded encouragement. I still want to be friends.
If you'll let me.
I'll be careful. I won't come to your stall anymore if it makes things hard. I'll stay away from your school. But maybe at the park sometimes? Or at Mina's party. His hands trembled slightly on the last signs. Mina had been watching with rapt attention. Mom, What's he saying? Elise translated, her voice thick. When she finished, Mina turned to Nico with the brutal honesty only 7-year-olds possessed. That's silly. Why would we not be friends just because bad people are mean? Nico blinked, startled. His hands moved, because I'm dangerous to be around. Mina looked at Elise. What did he say? He thinks he's dangerous. That's really silly. Mina slid off the bench and walked directly to Nico, hands on her hips. You're not dangerous. You're nice. You draw good pictures and you share goldfish crackers. She pulled something from her pocket, the crumpled drawing Nico had given her at the playground. I keep this in my backpack. It makes me happy when I'm sad at school. Nico stared at the drawing like he couldn't believe she'd kept it. You're not scared of me?
He signed.
Mina looked at Elise. Mom, what? He's asking if you're scared of him.
No.
Why would I be scared? You're just a kid like me. Except you're better at drawing and I'm better at reading. She said it so matter-of-factly that even Dante's expression softened. Do you want to see the ducks? Mom always brings bread, but today she forgot. Nico looked at his father, who signed, Stay where Thomas can see you. Nico nodded and stood, and just like that, the two children walked toward the pond edge, Mina chattering about the difference between mallards and Canadian geese while Nico listened with complete attention. Thomas materialized from somewhere nearby, maintaining a discreet distance, but keeping the children in clear sight. Dante and Elise sat in silence for a moment, watching their children navigate a friendship that should have been simple, but was anything but. She's remarkable, Dante said quietly. Your daughter. She doesn't understand yet. The complexity. The danger. Maybe that's better. Understanding comes with fear, and fear makes us cruel, he paused. I want to be clear about something, Ms. Walker. I didn't bring you here to pressure you. I brought you here because Nico needed to apologize, and because I owe you honesty. Honesty about what? About what protection actually means in my world. Dante turned to face her fully. Yesterday, I told you the Kozlovs wouldn't try again. That was true. They won't. But that doesn't mean the threat is gone. It just means it's been managed. How managed? The two men at the school gave up their employer. The Kozlovs have been moving into territory they don't own, thinking I'd gotten soft. I had a conversation with Viktor Kozlov this morning. Made it clear that touching you or your daughter would be crossing a line with consequences he wouldn't survive. Elise's stomach churned. What kind of consequences? The kind that ensure your safety. Dante's voice was matter-of-fact. I'm not asking for your approval, Ms. Walker. I'm informing you of reality. You became part of this when you helped my son. I'm ensuring that doesn't cost you everything. And what does it cost you? Nothing I wasn't already paying. He looked back at Nico, who was crouched by the water, watching Mina demonstrate how to skip stones. For 3 years, I've watched my son withdraw. Barely signing. Barely drawing. Barely existing. Then you spent 30 seconds being kind to him, and he came alive again. Do you understand? 30 seconds changed everything. Elise felt tears prick her eyes. I didn't do anything special. You saw him as a child first. Not as my son, not as a security risk, not as a problem to be managed. Just a kid who needed help. Dante's voice roughened slightly. His mother used to say that kindness was the only thing that mattered. That everything else, money, power, respect, was just noise. I didn't understand what she meant until I watched footage of you at that noodle stall.
You didn't know who Nico was.
You just helped because it was right. And now I'm trapped.
No.
Now you're protected. There's a difference. Dante pulled out an envelope, different from the first one, thinner. This isn't money. It's a phone number. Direct line to my security team. If anyone bothers you, threatens you, makes you uncomfortable, you call. Immediately. Day or night. Elise took the envelope slowly. I don't want to owe you. You don't. Nico owes you. I'm just paying his debt. Dante stood as the children ran back, Mina dragging Nico by the hand.
Mom.
Nico wants to know if he can really come to my party.
Can he?
Please. Elise looked at Nico's hopeful face, at the way he held Mina's hand like it was precious, at the father standing protective watch over a son who'd been lonely too long. She thought about safety, about fear, about what her mother used to say. Yes, she said finally. Saturday after next. 2 p.m. Gino's Pizza on 4th. Nico's entire face lit up. He signed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But you have to promise me something, Elise continued. Anything. You promise to just be a kid.
No guards havering.
No security protocols. Just pizza and games and cake.
Can you do that?
Nico looked at his father, who signed something quickly. Then Nico turned back and nodded vigorously. I promise. Then we'll see you there. As they left the park, Mina skipping ahead while Elise walked more slowly, she realized something had shifted. The fear was still there, but so was something else.
Hope, maybe.
Or just the realization that sometimes the right choice and the safe choice weren't the same thing. And she'd already chosen. The Saturday of Mina's birthday arrived with perfect weather, clear skies, warm sun, the kind of day that felt borrowed from summer. Elise had been up since dawn, decorating Gino's Pizza's party room with streamers and balloons, arranging goodie bags, triple-checking the cake order. Trying not to think about the black sedan that would eventually pull up outside. Mom, you're doing the worry face again, Mina said, adjusting her birthday crown, a glittery plastic thing she'd insisted on wearing since breakfast. I'm not worried.
I'm focused.
You're worried Nico won't come? Elise paused midstreamer. What makes you say that? Because you keep looking at the door, Mina tilted her head, wise beyond her 7 years. He'll come, Mom. He promised. By 1:30, Gino's party room filled with second graders, Mina's classmates running wild, fueled by the promise of pizza and sugar. Parents clustered near the door, making small talk, occasionally corralling their children back from the main dining area. 1:45. 1:50. Elise checked her phone. Nothing. Maybe Dante had changed his mind. Maybe keeping Nico away was safer. Maybe. He's here. Mina shrieked, pointing at the entrance. The party room went quiet. Nico stood in the doorway holding a wrapped present almost as big as he was, wearing jeans and a blue button-down shirt that made him look painfully formal compared to the other kids in their t-shirts and sneakers. Behind him, Dante Romano filled the doorframe in a way that made every parent in the room suddenly very aware of who had just arrived. Elise's heart hammered. This was a mistake. Too visible. Too public. Too. Mina ran over and grabbed Nico's hand. You came. Come on, we're playing musical chairs soon. Oh wait, you can't hear the music. That's okay, I'll tap you. Just like that, Nico was pulled into the chaos of children, his formal stiffness melting away as Mina introduced him to Sophie and Jordan and kids whose names Elise couldn't track because they were moving too fast. Dante approached, and Elise noticed he was alone.
No Marcus. No Thomas.
No visible security at all. You came by yourself? She asked, surprised. You asked for no guards hovering. Dante's expression was carefully neutral. Thomas is in the parking lot. 2 more men are positioned outside, dressed as delivery drivers. But inside? Just me, attempting to be a normal father at a normal birthday party. He said it like he wasn't sure such a thing existed for him. There's coffee and pizza for parents by the window, Elise offered. Fair warning, it's chaos in here. Chaos is good. Dante watched Nico sit in a circle with other children, Mina demonstrating some complicated clapping game while Nico watched her hands intently, learning the pattern. Quiet is what I'm afraid of. The party unfolded with beautiful, messy normalcy. Musical chairs, where Mina indeed tapped Nico every time the music stopped, making him laugh his silent laugh. Pin the tail on the donkey, where Nico drew a perfect tail placement while blindfolded, earning applause from kids who didn't care that he couldn't hear them. Pizza consumption that defied physics. Elise watched from the sidelines, occasionally glancing at Dante, who stood apart from the other parents, but couldn't stop watching his son. His expression was complex, pride and pain, and something that looked like grief for all the birthday parties Nico had missed. When cake time came, Mina insisted Nico sit beside her at the head of the table. As everyone sang, "Happy Birthday," Elise noticed Nico signing the words along with them, his hands moving in perfect rhythm to a song he'd never heard but had clearly learned just for this moment. Mina blew out her candles, 7+1 to grow on, and immediately turned to Nico, signing something she'd clearly practiced, "Make a wish too." Nico smiled, closed his eyes, and signed something back. "Mom, what did he say?" Mina asked. Elise's throat tightened. He said his wish already came true. After cake, as the party wound down and parents started collecting their sugar-crash children, Nico approached Elise with something clutched behind his back. "This is for you," he signed, then handed her a drawing. This one was different from the others, more detailed, more careful. It showed Elise and Mina at the craft stall, but this time Nico had added himself standing nearby with his father. Above them all, he'd written in careful letters, "Family doesn't have to be blood. It just has to be love." Elise pressed a hand to her mouth, unable to speak. "Thank you," Nico signed, his eyes shining. "For letting me be normal. Just for today." She knelt down to his level. "Nico, you listen to me. You're not normal just for today. You're just you. And that's more than enough. Always." He hugged her then, quick and fierce, before running back to where Mina was showing him how to work a party popper. Dante materialized beside her, looking at the drawing in her hands. He worked on that all week. "It's beautiful. He's never written that before." About family, Dante's voice was rough. His mother used to say it. I didn't think he remembered. He remembers. Elise watched the children laugh over party popper streamers. "Mr. Romano."
Dante.
"If we're going to be in each other's lives, you might as well use my name." Dante, then she took a breath. "I was wrong. At the market, when I pushed him away, I was scared, and I hurt him, and I'm sorry. You were protecting your daughter. I understand that better than anyone. Maybe. But Mina taught me something these past 2 weeks." Elise glanced at her daughter, who is now teaching Nico and 3 other kids some elaborate handshake. "She taught me that kids don't see danger or complications or whose father does what for a living. They just see friends. And maybe adults need to learn from that sometimes." Dante was quiet for a moment. "My wife used to say the same thing. She sounds like she was smart. She was extraordinary." He paused. "She would have liked you. Would have appreciated you seeing Nico for who he is, not what he represents." As the party ended and parents filtered out with their exhausted children, Mina presented Nico with a goodie bag and something else, a friendship bracelet she'd made from craft supplies at home, blue and green threads woven together. "So you remember today," she signed carefully, another phrase she'd clearly practiced. Nico put it on immediately, signing back, "I could never forget." Outside, Thomas had pulled the sedan to the curb. Dante shook Elise's hand, formal, respectful, but with genuine warmth. "Thank you for this," he said. "For all of it. Thank you for trusting me with him." Nico waved goodbye from the car window as they pulled away, his friendship bracelet visible even from a distance. Mina leaned against Elise, exhausted and happy. "Best birthday ever, Mom." "Yeah, baby." It really was. That evening, after Mina had crashed into bed still wearing her birthday crown, Elise sat at her kitchen table with Nico's drawing spread before her. She thought about 2 weeks ago, standing at a noodle stall, signing a simple message to a struggling boy. She thought she was just helping a kid order chicken noodles. She hadn't realized she was helping a lonely child find hope, helping a grieving father remember what mattered, helping herself understand that sometimes the scariest choices led to the most beautiful connections. Her phone buzzed. A text from Thomas's line. "Nico wanted me to send this." A photo appeared. Nico in his room, holding up the friendship bracelet and the slice of birthday cake he'd brought home, his smile bright enough to light the world. Below it, another message. "He's already drawing plans for his own birthday party. Says Mina has to come. Fair warning, you've been officially adopted into the Romano family's very short list of trusted people." Elise laughed, wiping unexpected tears. She'd been so afraid of their worlds colliding. Afraid of the danger, the complications, the impossibility of mixing her simple life with his complicated one. But maybe that was the point. Maybe friendship wasn't about identical worlds coming together. Maybe it was about different worlds learning to coexist, finding common ground in the spaces between. She texted back, "Tell him, Mina, and I wouldn't miss it. And tell him he's stuck with us now." The response came immediately. "That's exactly what he was hoping you'd say." Elise looked at the drawing one more time, at the stick figures holding hands, at the words about family and love, at the careful detail of a boy who'd spent years in silence finally finding someone who spoke his language. She'd helped a Mafia boss's mute son order food at a noodle stall. And in return, he taught her that courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was choosing connection despite it. The end.